What's up guys, YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today, we got a very special guest. We got the one and only Scratch in the building. How's it going, bro?
Yo, what's up, YST? Doing pretty good, bro. Glad to be on the channel here. Thanks for having me. And yeah, excited to crack on this. Doing pretty good. Can't complain, life's good.
Yeah. Guys, if you don't know who Scratch is, you're probably living under a rock like Patrick in SpongeBob SquarePants. All of his stuff will be in the description below for you to go and drop a sub, because he makes amazing content in the community, right? And what we're going to be doing today is actually talking about champions that we feel deserve that if you build a dupe, don't feel bad about it at all, because they really do shine having more than one of them on your accounts, whether that be using it in the same place, using it in multiple places, different builds, and different complex ways that we like to build these funky champions. Now, usually, I always ask my guest, do you want to start off here today? But Scratch did his list in a way where I kind of have to go first, so I'm not being rude, guys. So,
you know what it is? Our excuses, guys. It's just ladies first,
oh, there we go. So, all right, guys, we're going to go straight into the demon spawn, and I'm sure many of you guys can guess it. It's going to be a lore. Now, what do you think about this champion, and how would you build it in terms of building dupes on your account?
So, quick side thing here. A great thing about Raid is that we can build so many different champions in so many different ways and still have a use for them. Like, it's just a lot of content to cover, and building dupes is actually very helpful. And a lot of people will wish to get dupes from specific champions, not like other games where you're going to use the dupes just as skill tomes, So Allure, an amazing champion, great for the Fire Knight, great for the Dark Fae, and you can definitely find some different uses for her, maybe faction wars, or depending on how advanced is your account as well. But I have two built as well. I have one for the Fire Knight, and then I have one for the Dark Fae. The one on the Fire Knight is on immunity, a specific speed that I need on. The one for the Dark Fae is slightly slower, and she's on Relentless. So I definitely recommend two Allures if you have the opportunity to build two of them and you have the resources,
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm in the same boat. I use one for Dark Fae, one for Fire Knight, and those kind of builds carry you everywhere, unless you want to build a Destroy set maybe for the Scarab King. If you're building the shield teams and you want a Terminator manipulator, look no further than a champion like Allure, 100%. So, all right.
Yeah,
go on.
Absolutely. I'm not even thinking about the Scarab King anymore. There's so many champions that can solo it,
It's like once you get an Urost, it's like we don't even need it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Once you reach that, and there are quite a few other options too, but it's definitely a massive change since when it got released, when we were actually trying all sorts of different shield teams and stuff to keep them alive, resistance and all that nonsense. Yeah.
Solo or bust. But all right, first one on your list, enlighten us.
So first one on my list is gonna have to be the Takedown Boy Royal Guard. I have 5 copies of Royal Guard. Okay?
All 6 stars?
All 6 stars,
standard,
masteries, built. So I gotta admit it, in the last few months, since they nerfed Hydra and Husk Provokes, I haven't used Royal Guard as much. But from the very start of Hydra, I built as many Royal Guards as I had available for all my rotations and Husks, So I have 5 Husks, 5 Royal Guards, and I have one for the Fire Knight, and I'm using the same one on the Dark Fae. So that one is fast, on Savage, damage, accuracy. And then I have 4 on Relentless. Maybe one of them is on Reflex, actually, for Hydra, So how I mentioned, I used to use them more often before. Now, probably, I would not recommend you to build as many anymore, because you can actually provoke one of the heads. So using Husk maybe is a better option, or some other champions. But I used to be ready like for every difficulty with the champions based on affinity. So that's why I made multiple copies. And I just ran out at some point of what champions to build, because believe it or not, that's gonna happen one day for everybody.
It definitely happens. You're looking through your inventory like, oh, who haven't I 6-starred yet? But apart from that, I'd say maybe the Spider's Lair. When you're going up to like stage 20, as you get diminishing returns on stage 25, enemy max HP is gonna scale really well. Also just bosses in general, because people like the Dark Fae placing decreased speed and turn meter whilst doing that max HP is actually really, really strong. So being able to focus like high accuracy, high speed, high damage for one, or pure damage for another one, he's definitely a champion that deserves to be a dupe on your account, 1000%.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. What do you have next? Let's see, surprises.
We're going to kind of bounce straight off that Royal Guard there. We're going to head into the Dark Elves, into the rare category, and it's none other than Kotor. Now, other than the fact that there's skins in the game, you might want to rock double skins, and that might be your thing, I don't know. But apart from that, being able to have a champion like this that can fully deplete a target's turn meter while stealing enemy max HP in the same skill set is just crazy, right? And being able to like take this into many places in the game where turn meter's a thing, really, really strong. Even for like the Fire Knight cracking that shield and with a 4-time hitter, I just feel like she deserves to have at least 2, potentially 3 on each player's accounts. So
yeah, absolutely. I have 3 at 60. I have another one at 50. And how we had events, like kill the spider dungeon only with champions from Dark Elves or just with using a rare team. I had to maximize the time and everything. So I ended up in using 4 Cold Hearts and a defense down all the time to do the job, on the spider. So I have, even now that I'm using 2 of them on stage 25, I'm using one on Dark Fae. Maybe you're going to end up in using some of the Fire Knight because she's so freaking amazing. But yeah, Cold Heart, amazing champion, 100%.
Yeah, arguably best rare in the game. I'm not sure if I'd put any of them above that. Maybe in specific scenarios. But as an overall AoE, 4-time hitter A1, Heartseeker, for me personally, I think she's the best
goat.
rare. Yeah, she's the GOAT.
She's the GOAT, yeah. I like to call Bellower the most complete rare champion in the game.
Okay.
Because we have defense down, decrease speed, decrease attack, lock skills, and stuff like that. So that's actually very, very nice.
Do you know what? Somebody on stream yesterday, because we was kind of discussing which champions we would like class as like you'd use a dupe for. And somebody did say Bellower, but I don't think that I would recommend 2 of them because...
No, I only have 1, and I find that unless you don't have really no other options for faction wars and you need to, you're forced to build a second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you already have different options at 6-star from that faction, I just cannot recommend it either.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like if you do like one in like decent damage and a stun set, it's pretty much going to carry the same value everywhere, right?
Yeah.
But all right, who's next on your list?
So the next on my list is Sisia Flame Tongue.
Okay, one that I don't have actually.
I don't have her either. Funny enough, you see, I used to have her on my other account, but I don't have her now. And she was guaranteed for 12 sacreds, and I had 0 sacreds, and I didn't want it to spend money, so I don't have a Sisia.
But that's how they get you.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how they get you. I resisted it. See, I've been a good boy. Basically, she's a beast of a champion. You can use multiple ones on the spider, up to 3 actually, and you're gonna destroy it. You can use multiple ones either to have 1 build for the spider. When you're building them for the spider, you're actually not building them. You're crippling the champions.
Yeah.
No accuracy, no damage, no masteries, no this. So it becomes pretty irrelevant in other content. That's why having multiple ones, like if you want to use one for Hydra, because she's so freaking powerful there as well, you're going to need to have a completely different build than what you have on the spider, So she's another solid contender for it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's 2 places in particular. Like, if you want to do a spider speed farm strategy, and then you're like, damn, I've got no gear on her, you obviously can't use it in the Hydra boss. So if you can have that second option to actually put some gear on one, then it'll be pretty cool, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But all right, next up for me is going to be in the Undead Hordes, and we're heading straight down to the other enemy max HP champion. You guys are getting the theme. In Husk, that we did mention earlier. And with the implementation to the Hydra boss, having the A1 provoke alongside the enemy max HP and being able to lock off decay if your other provoke champions don't get the job done, I feel like this is just a really strong safety feature. And having multiples to use in your second or third teams is actually really, really impactful. And obviously, you was around for a long time in this game, and this was a champion that was slept on in our vaults for so long. And Hydra boss is like, boom, value surge, shot through the roof. So
absolutely, yeah. And even before he was decent for the dragon and stuff, if you didn't have royal guards, because before stage 20 speed farm, you know how that was working. Either you had poison detonation, right? And even that was not as reliable as running double royal guard, Kaimar, defense down, bang, just get the dragon 20 down in like 20-30 seconds. And that was done with royal guards, and was able to do it with husks as well, because it was the right affinity. But a lot of people slept on him through.
Yeah, I slept on it. 100% I slept on him. I just looked at him as like the trash version of a royal guard because his damage multipliers wasn't the same. But the value now, especially with that provoke A1, has made it huge. All right, who's next for your list?
The next on my list is no one else but Old Buddy Hegemon.
Okay.
So this is the champion that you could have different builds. So this is a bit more exotic as a champion, guys. You're going to have to be very lucky to get multiple copies, but you can have one build for damage just to assist you to farm a lot of teams faster while you're doing your dailies. You can have multiple ones built for damage to farm even faster, or you can have one on CC, either on stun, on provokes, high speed, high accuracy, no damage, and have one built for damage. They're definitely pretty good even to change them in arena, so it's not the ultimate meta anymore like it used to be, but it's still a pretty strong champion, you know?
Yeah, like if you guys are lucky enough to have two, let alone one, definitely having like two different builds is definitely an option. And I feel like you'll get more value out of having two Hegemons in two different builds than a +1 empowerment, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So, yeah, very strong choice there. Next up for me is actually going to be, I'm going to say a range of champions. So this is just like a little list in general. And it's going to be block damage / unkillable champions, such as man-eaters and maybe even like a Helicath or Rush Guard the Tower. These kinds of champions, well, let me just pull one up for an example. Let's just get Helicath, my buddy. Where is he? So champions like this that have like a block damage on a 4-turn cooldown, enabling you to build these block damage compositions very well. Helicath probably my personal favorite, but there is one such as Rush Guard and where's Man-Eater? Ogrin, right?
Yep.
So everybody knows unkillable teams, one of the easiest ways to get those wonky Ultra Nightmare teams full auto, and champions like this do really make it work. Now, there is different exceptions of building budget teams or one unkillable teams, one block damage teams. But for the traditional versions, definitely worth having two on your accounts if this is teams that you want to build. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, you definitely need to have something like that cracking on it, you know, because it's pretty important, you know, 100%. And it's very popular. Pariter, teams like this, you know, where you need to have multiple copies to crack on it, you know.
Yeah. But all right, who we got next?
Next one, I'm gonna have Hugo, actually from the same faction with Man-Eater, a beast of a champion for Hydra runs. Okay, so using 2 for Hydra is great for different difficulties because she's just bringing so much block debuffs, the defense down. You have Leech on the A1, you have a bit of a cleanse, a bit of a heal, you know. Hugo is a very, very powerful champion, you know. Faction wars. You're not really going to build a faction war champion differently from Hydra, but just to have a couple of copies for Hydra is actually great.
Yeah, I actually went and built up my second one as well because I felt like in my second or third teams, I'm like losing the value of an Hugo. So having her, even if it's 2 of the same build, it doesn't really matter. Like, being able to have 2 with this option, like you said, having drop defense, block buffs, leech, and a cleanse in one skill set is really, really rare, especially for an epic champion at the cost of epic tomes. So, yeah, really strong, worth the books, worth the dupes, in my opinion.
100%, yeah.
All right,
what do you have next?
We're going to have to talk about the little dudes. We're going to have to go down to dwarfs. And everybody knows, I'm sorry for anybody that doesn't have one, didn't get it over guaranteed or 10x events, Geomancer, the one-of-a-kind champion that you can take into Iron Twins Fortress, anywhere, clan boss, faction wars, Hydra boss. He is the absolute boss killer. And it comes down to the Stone Guard passive, which has a damage mitigation alongside the reflection of HP burn that can bypass the passives such as the Iron Twins Fortress, which makes him really, really scarce in this game. Where would you use yours if you was to build dupes?
So I have 4 Geomancers built, okay? I have one. I have one on Reflex, which is for the Iron Twins Fortress, high accuracy, completely different stats. Not really great for Hydra with the build that I have because he just has a high overkill on accuracy, you know, and speed-wise. Actually, speed-wise, no. Then I have one on Deflection, which is used for the Bommel, for the Dreadhorn boss. And I have 2 on Relentless for the Hydra.
Okay, I think I'm in the same boat, but I've only got 2. Do you know, back in the day when he first came out, I pulled 2, right? And then I sacrificed my 3rd and 4th. And this was before Hydra boss. And then I was like, damn, I haven't pulled one since. So, yeah, I'd love to have one for Bommel. But as of now, just purely one Hydra boss and one Iron Twins for me. As you said, very different builds because on Iron Twins, you don't want to proc the passive with War Master procs, for example. So you kind of just want to go like the Evil Eye or the Eagle Eye Mastery and stuff like that. So, yeah, really strong champion. And I hope all of you guys who haven't got one, you all get him over 2x Ancients. That'll be pretty cool.
Hopefully, because he's such an amazing dude. My next one is actually going to be no one else but Vogot from the Undead. So, You can use multiple copies of this champion, either to try and fight bosses in the Doom Tower, either to use multiple copies for Arena, for Tag Team Arena, to have him available for different teams on different builds. Very, very nice champion, mainly because of the passive and the heal, allowing you to keep your team alive, basically. What do you think about Vogel?
I think, yeah, I've got 2 on my account, mainly for Bommel, for like the cheese strategy with the Geomancer. But also in Ultra Nightmare Clambos, I feel like he's very underrated for a vast majority of players out there just looking for support. As being able to eat up that damage and heal your allies and place a leech by being hit is actually really undervalued. Because leech, if you guys don't know, actually does 18% of the damage inflicted, which can scale off War Master procs. So being able to just be here and have this up 100% of the time is actually really undervalued in his kit. With a triple hit A1 for Giant Slayer procs and extending the value of debuffs. So many ways you can build him for maybe provokes in dungeons or faction wars, one for Doom Tower bosses, and just many places he's really strong. So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What do we have next? Let's see.
Next up, I don't have 2 of this champion, but I wish I did. And it's going to be Prince Kaimar, who is currently up for the 10x event. So if any of you guys are summoning for this CVC and you have like 1,000 shards in your accounts, you might pull this dude. And pretty much it will come down to speed tuning and different scenarios. Now, what I would like to do is have one for the Doom Tower, one for PvP, and tune them in very different ways. But right now I'm kind of stuck with my arena build has to work for all of my dungeon teams, which I don't really like. But yeah, really strong, right? And do you use multiple?
Kaimar,
yeah.
I have multiple ones, and it's great to have 2, especially for Doom Tower waves with Seer, you know?
Yeah.
Either to have 2 for arena, 1 high accuracy, 1 high resistance. I gotta say it, recently with the sheep and all the rest, the high accuracy one kind of like downtrended quite a bit for arena, but it's still very powerful to have him if you're not top of platinum. So definitely a solid champion to build multiple copies of. Even to have 3 of him could be potentially good.
I think Smiley said that to me. I was talking to him, right? He's like, I think he had like 2 Kaimars and he wants like a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th Kaimar. I'm like, damn, like that just shows the value of how much dupes can like have an impact in this game with these sort of champions.
Absolutely, because you see, I have 2 Kaimars, but they're both built fast, so they're always taking the first turn compared to the other champions. So that adds a few seconds to my run on the spider or whatever when I'm using the champions, you know. So having one slow to go after the enemies, which cannot be used in arena, it would be good to have as a 3rd, you know.
Yeah. All right, who we got next?
So next after Kaimar is gonna be Deacon Armstrong.
Ooh, let's go. Where is the buddy? Sacred Order. There he is.
Sacred Order, yeah. So you might want to have 1 for clan boss. You might want to have 1 build for arena, faster, to go as the 2nd Termitter booster. Tag Team Arena, having 2 of them is great. You can use him in Faction Wars, on some Doom Tower if needed. Deacon Armstrong is actually a very solid champion, very complex. The A3, allowing him to gain the extra turn, bringing that to a 2-turn cooldown, constantly filling the Termitter, defense down, the speed aura, the leech. Man, he's such a beast of a champion.
Yeah, he definitely deserves... I would say if you guys aren't building him in a clan boss team, you could probably get away with building 1 really good one for arena and carry it everywhere. But the dupe value would be coming from speed tuning in a clan boss team, maybe like those Demifa teams, for example. So yeah, definitely worthy of a dupe if you want to build him in those specific scenarios, but a really strong champion.
100%.
Next up, straight underneath Deacon, we're going to build a Godseeker Inari in as many ways as possible. Now,
let's see.
With the implementations with Iron Twins Fortress, I found that maybe, well, the way that I like to use her is, I pair her with a Skytouch Shaman, so we get the full out cleanses and heals from Skytouched. And then Godseeker Inari is there with the passive, where she can preempt the hit, and also reset the cooldowns of champions, such as a Skytouched or a Geomancer, which is really unique for an epic champion. And because I've built her in that way, I can't use her in other teams, maybe for the Hydra boss, where you do want War Master procs, or in the Clan boss team, trying to extend the value of your debuffs and speed tuning one. I feel like she's definitely on the list that you'd really want 2 on your account. And I actually built up a second one recently, and I think she really holds that value.
Yeah, I only have 1, but then I feel like my account is a bit at a higher level because I have most of the legendaries in the game, so it's a bit harder for me to justify a second one, considering that I'm not using her in clan boss or stuff like that. But I can definitely see getting some utility out of 2 because she's such a freaking powerful champion.
Yeah, I think very similar thing to the Deacon Armstrong. Like, if you got one in your clan boss team, then you definitely want to kind of move towards maybe having a second one if you want to use it elsewhere, because maybe the build that you're using for Clan Boss isn't the one that you want to use for Hydra or the Iron Twins. And that was the case for me because, do you know that new champion that came out in Anchorite, the Fusion Epic?
Yeah.
So basically, I was using the extender composition, but my Godseeker Neri's build was dying in Iron Twins. So I actually swapped the Anchorite into my Clan Boss team to open up that position to use a Godseeker. So in those kind of scenarios, I feel like she does definitely worthy of 2.
Yeah, 100%. Now I'm going to talk about a big girl here, Duchess, right?
Oof. Boy, where is she? Demon
You
Spawn,
definitely do not want to empower your Duchess if you're just getting one, okay?
Yeah.
I'm using one Duchess for Arena, build mainly for defense. Then I have one Duchess that I'm using in Hydra. Now, I kind of modified my one from Hydra, even though I would prefer not to. I would love a third one. But I want to empower my main one to +4, so I'm going to be happy with 2.
Yeah.
And maybe in 10 years from now, I'm gonna get the empowerment done. But you want to have one defense, one offense, one Hydra kind of situation. So she's just such an amazing champion. Like, honestly, I think she is the #1 champion in the entire game, ranking all around utility-wise and power, how powerful she is. You know?
I actually agree with you. I actually think she is the best champion in the game. Like, don't get me wrong, there's other champions out there, guys, that can hit harder, maybe do different funky things that outpower her in some scenarios. But when you think about a champion that you, like, let's just say you started this game right now, and Pelerin's like, yo, YST, Scratch, which champion do you want to start off with? I'm choosing Duchess, and there's no doubt about it.
Same, because I can do everything with her. You know,
you've got revised,
there is no content.
You've got damage mitigation from bosses, you've got perfect veils, block debuffs, double hit
attack,
A1s.
Speed. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
It's all in there, and she's super tanky as well. So yeah, definitely up there as a great dupe champion.
What do you have next? Let's see.
Next up will actually be Madame Ceres. Now, I actually had a little think about this. And at first, I wasn't a fan of saying a dupe because I feel like if you build one, you can carry that same build everywhere. But if you guys are a fan of Tag Team Arena and you are using double speed booster teams or maybe like provoke teams or strip teams, you can actually afford to have a second Madame Ceres and she's going to hold that value for you because that Midnight Ritual is very, very universal in the way that you can use this. Being able to strip off all the buffs is just so easy. Applying 2 of the most damage mitigations, or should I say debuffs in this game, in the same skill set. So I think for Tag Team Arena, I'd potentially build 2, but anywhere else, maybe 1 is enough for Madame Ceres.
Yeah, the meta changed a bit for Arena, but even if it's not just for Tag Team Arena, having one on very high accuracy to deal with resistance teams and to be more accessible without having to bring in an increased accuracy champion, and having one on immunity to deal with Tormin, Hegemon teams, and other champions like that, which will have lower accuracy, but will kind of give you that luxury of not constantly needing to change a million teams. And of course, if you have multiple copies, it's nice to have two of her. You know, I only use one at the moment, but before I used to have 2, one immunity, 1 high accuracy.
This is why we get Scratch on the channel, guys. He's got those little cheeky Arena insights for us. The immunity, Madame Ceres. I've actually never thought of using one in immunity. How weird is that?
Yeah, she's actually pretty solid like that.
Yeah. All right. Next champion for me is going to be one I don't have. One that was actually made from one of the community members who drawed him up, and he came into the game in Cavallax. Now, the reason that I say Cavallax is I see loads of like world record speed farm teams in the dungeons where you're using this unique passive where he places the 4-5% poison debuffs at the start of each round. So you go through double Cavallax, boom, 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 explode them all, and you're pretty much getting through those dungeons very, very quickly. Would you agree with building 2, or would you recommend maybe just 1?
Yeah, you definitely. I don't have 1, unfortunately, but hopefully I'm gonna get 2. Because last time that's what I asked her. My wife was like, "What? 2? You don't even have 1, and you want 2?" I was like, "Yeah, just start getting them in. You know, start piling them up." But it's amazing to have 2 of them because they enable so many super fast comps. Unbelievable. You know, it's just crazy how powerful he is with that passive.
Do you know, I've always wanted to know. There's that blessing, right, that can amplify the damage of poisons in Arena or something like that. I've not really tried it, but I feel like if anybody can make it work, it would be a Cavallax because you're doing it at the start of each round, very similar to maybe a Hegemon, for instance. So I'd like to see one of those one day out there. Yeah.
Yeah, the only problem is that it's so hard to land all these debuffs on Arena. straight off the bat, and then to have the rest of the champions to compensate. Like a poison tick on an arena champion barely does anything, so it's pretty hard to make that work. I'm pretty sure they're gonna change that at some point in the future, or they're gonna bring some crazy new champions or something. I don't know.
Another thing, guys, just to throw in here, he actually does max HP as well. It doesn't scale as well as the other champions from what I've been seeing, but when you do kind of consider his passive and stuff, definitely worth it. All right, who we got next?
So I'm gonna have next Painkeeper, actually.
Painkeeper, all right.
I'm using one on the Barrier. I still need to do that quest that everybody gets. Use one rare champion on your clan boss team, right? So whenever I have that, I'm using a Barrier comp, and that's with Painkeeper. I have her built on a specific way. And then I have a second one built for Secret Room. So we have Secret Room for HP-based champions, either only rare champions or void champions, etc. And that's where I'm using a couple of Painkeepers just to help and support the team, and make the runs a bit faster.
Yeah, I've actually never built a 6-star Painkeeper on my account. Never.
No?
Never.
Oh, damn.
I don't know what it is. It's just one of those things where, for me personally, I don't feel like I needed it. But in terms of, like you were saying with the secret rooms, if you guys are building those clan boss teams, I can definitely see the value where 2 Painkeepers definitely comes into play. But if you're not kind of interested in those stuff and you don't use a Painkeeper in clan boss, maybe just the 1 is enough, in my opinion. But 2 definitely if you're using clan boss.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, next up for me is going to be the new legendary champion. So obviously, it's kind of speaking about this way too soon. He's just come out. But if you guys do pull 2 mission Archies in the future, I feel like he does hold that value to be able to use dupes and get value. Because if you're using him in clan boss, which I feel like he's very, very strong there, it might not be the same build that you want to use for Hydra boss, which is also very strong in. So the way that he works is he puts the Hex out, he does the counter attacks or ally attacks with the Cursor of Curses, comes through with the A1, which has nice damage multipliers, and he also has a drop defense and decrease attack. So I feel like for Hydra boss and Demon Lord, you could probably get away with building 2, but if you just want to use in one place, 1 should be enough.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that part. I feel like you can make it work like that. Now, my last champion as the pick, I think I'm at the last one. Is gonna be a rare champion, and it's gonna be Soulbound.
Soulbound boy. Which faction is she in? Barbarians.
Barbarians, yeah. So I actually think that she is a very solid rare champion. I'm using her in Faction Wars, and you're gonna have secret rooms where you're gonna need to have strong spirit champions. Now, if you're not bothering with secret rooms at all, then probably you're not gonna need to build a second one. But honestly, I feel like she just brings a lot of value. You have a AoE on the A1, so you can use stun sets. She only needs 75% crit rate. If you're using an aura, she needs less. She ignores defense, fully depletes turn meter. She can be such a nice little rare champion in there, actually. Very nice.
Yeah.
All around.
She reminds me of Pikachu from Pokemon. Look at that.
I know, right? that face.
Yeah. But apart from that, I've never built one personally, but I do know the value of how much a dupe could impact people's accounts. And do you know what, Playroom? I really wish that if you guys are watching this video by some chance, please bring in some new top tier rare champions, because I'd say the last good one that we had was Prosecutor. Do you know the Shadow King that we had for the fusion? Like, she's the most...
she's decent as well, yeah. But
but
we need more.
Yeah, because I feel like we've kind of got all of these OG champions, and we don't have a new Cold Heart or something like that in the game that can really blow these epic champions out of the park. And I'd just love to see it one day.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to throw in one last one. That was kind of our official top 20, guys. If we did miss out some of your favorites, let us know in the comment section. I'll be kind of looking out for that. But we cannot do a video without mentioning Cornelia. I just can't. So, do I even need to speak about this scratch? Or does everybody know about this? So
I mean, you're the Cornelia man, so yeah. I guess. I have one. I'm using one, but I don't use 2. So I'm curious to know where you're using 2 actually. Yeah.
I'd say it's subjective, right? If you want to start soloing some of the bosses and you want one to kind of play around and switch around gear to take out different bosses in those rotations, because I'm not sure if you're aware, we didn't just do Bommel. I did the Griffin, I did the Scarab King, I did Magma Dragon. Like every single boss in this game on the hardest floor, apart from maybe Eternal Dragon floor 120 and Bommel, she can solo that as long as the right affinity procs. So
that's good.
Yeah, so pretty much I'd say if you want one champion that you can switch around gear from and just play with, you can have one. And then if you want a lockout champion for the arena, kind of like a budget Kaimar, you got an AoE sleep with that chance to proc a fear when the debuffs are replaced or removed. So I feel like if you want to use one in PvP, one in kind of Doom Tower stuff, I could definitely see maybe 2. But yeah, that's kind of my...
Yeah, that would be great.
So...
Plus,
go on.
A few more big boy champions that would be nice, like Nakret, Sifi, Warlords, Yumekos. You know, it's nice to have those from these champions. Very hard to get them, but just thought that it is worth mentioning them. That would be nice, you know.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, we were speaking about this video before we started, guys, and we didn't want to like throw in so many top tier champions because let's be real, how many of us even have 1, let alone 2? So we wanted to make this as relatable as possible along the way, whilst throwing some end game stuff into the mix. But yeah, if there was any that you kind of really think that we should have mentioned, definitely let us know. But Scratch, thank you so much for coming on the channel today. I appreciate your time. Anything you want to say here before we sign off?
No, it's all a pleasure to be here, buddy. And looking forward to the next time, you know.
Yeah, and guys, we actually did a part 2 collaboration for the best beastie clan boss teams that you can see out there. And that is live on Scratch's channel, maybe at the same time this one releases. If not, keep an eye out for it on his channel. And if you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Go and subscribe to Scratch, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.